And next up, we have the group that's been working with the Center for Environmental Health.
Hello, everyone. It is an honor to share our capstone project, Safer Materials, Smarter Procurement. I want to begin with an image. This image was taken by landscape photographer Edward Bertinsky. What you see is a vibrant orange river, beautiful at first, but what you may not know is that these are toxic industrial chemicals flowing through this barren landscape. The colorful contrast may catch your eye. However, what is not immediately visible is the danger that this river represents. This image is a powerful metaphor for the toxic chemicals that we interact with every day. These substances are in the buildings we work in, the furniture we sit on, and even the air we breathe. And though they are invisible, they are slowly seeping into our bodies, creating long-term health effects. So the question is, who will protect us? That is where our client, the Center for Environmental Health, steps in. Today, I will walk you on the journey of our project. I will talk about why this work matters, how we approached our problem, and ultimately what we've created to help our client create healthy, productive procurement systems. Our team is divided between the Built Environment team and Consumer Goods team. We are led by our project managers and our faculty advisor, Shaun, Hoyt. Through decades of litigation wins, policy reformation, and setting standards for procurement, our client, the Center for Environmental Health, has created long-lasting relationships between different organizations like government, education, and communities. Their mission is to protect public health by providing science-backed approaches that can help address environmental injustices. One of their initiatives is the Clean and Green Purchasing Program, which advises large-scale purchasers on how to purchase safer and cleaner materials such as furniture, flooring, and foodware. Our task was to support CEH's expansion into the private sector. We did this by providing tools such as a financial toolkit, an engagement toolkit, and a strategic roadmap. To understand why procurement matters, think about a school. The students that enter this building enter into a door. There's ceilings, there's floors, there's walls, and there's even foodware in the cafeteria. An EPA study shows that indoor air quality can be 2 to 5 times more polluted than the outside air, which impacts student health as well as their brain cognition. And these schools show us why procurement is so important. And the moment that it starts is the time when somebody decides what to buy. Procurement is where policy, intention, and real-world outcomes intersect. Every floor tile, disinfectant wipe, and even foodware item represent a long chain of upstream choices. Even swapping out small things like a different cleaning product can have an immeasurable effect on the indoor air quality. And because purchasing decisions occur constantly, this creates an opportunity for meaningful change. We focused on the built environment and consumer goods because they represent the physical and chemical worlds that we interact with every day. The built environment represents long-lasting materials such as furniture and flooring. Consumer goods represent the high-touch items that we use constantly, like cleaning products, foodware, and even toys. Going into this project, we knew that CEH already had a strong foundation within the public sector. However, despite progress, these harmful chemicals continue to persist because institutions face different barriers such as cost pressure, low transparency, and confusing certifications. So in simple terms, if we all believe that these safer products will either cost more or perform worse, then these harmful toxins will continue to circulate. So we needed to understand these barriers and see where CEH could intervene. To see this, how decisions are made, we had questions like, who actually influences these procurement decisions? Where does the transparency break down, and what motivates stakeholders to choosing safer options? Our methodology included mapping out stakeholders within our industries and product categories. By doing this, we were able to see the leaders and laggards of each industry and product category. And we conducted numerous interviews and even held a stakeholder workshop to talk to these industry experts. By doing this, we were able to validate some of our insights as well as gain more knowledge about what happens within an organization. Across our research, we found some key findings. First, fragmented decision and low transparency makes product comparison difficult for stakeholders. And though there is a lot of raw data available, these stakeholders wanted clear, actionable guidance to help them with complex issues. And concerns about cost, performance, and risk make it harder or slower to adopt these alternative methods. And these insights became the backbone of our deliverables. They showed us where CEH could add the most value by providing clear, science-backed guidance that simplified these complex decisions. Our final deliverables consist of 3 components: a financial toolkit, which assesses the true cost of safer procurement, an engagement toolkit that helps tailor messaging, and a strategic roadmap which outlines a multi-year plan for CEH to influence the private sector. For the built environment, the financial toolkit compares when safer and conventional products are able to match. This uses real vendor data and compares different variables such as installation costs and labor, VOC levels, and replacement cycles. It also includes a health productivity calculator, which quantifies the economic impact of indoor air quality. The output of this tool is a total cost comparison of financial and hidden health costs for a product. The Consumer Goods Toolkit consists of 2 models. First, the Cleaning Product Tool, which helps evaluate different costs and sustainability attributes, producing a single score to help stakeholders identify the best value options. The Foodware Toolkit compares the total costs of disposable versus reusable systems, accounting for different things like capital expenses, operational costs, labor, maintenance, and even environmental externalities. And this tool shows us when reusable systems become cost positive and when they can operate efficiently. The Engagement Toolkit provides a clear narrative and messaging framework for CEH to use when engaging with potential partners. It consists of how-to guides for sub-industries, messaging templates, and persona guides. These persona guides help CEH target multiple levels within an organization, such as executives, procurement offices, and sustainability teams. This can help CEH communicate the value of safer procurement. And finally, our strategic roadmap outlines the multi-year plan to help CEH expand into the private sector. It prioritizes industries, outlines engagement efforts, as well as brings insights in between the financial and engagement toolkits. To see all of this work, imagine CEH is advising a corporate office. First, the engagement toolkit will help our client target the specific decision makers of the organization. The financial toolkit can be used to compare different products, such as PFAS-free carpet and conventional flooring. The foodware toolkit could be used in the cafeterias to show when reusable systems can be cost positive. And finally, the strategic roadmap will help foster a relationship between CEH and their client. So in conclusion, by providing financial clarity, effective communication, and a strategy, we have equipped CEH with the needed tools to guide the private sector to a more health-conscious and sustainable future. To close, I'd like to remind you of the image we began with. Though it is dramatic, all of these chemicals are still around us. They're just harder to see. And by working with CEH, we have contributed to a world where businesses and organizations prioritize safety, sustainability, and transparency. A world where we don't just react to toxic chemicals, but actively eliminate them from our lives. Thank you.
Really beautiful presentation. I'm curious, you interviewed the client. In the interview with the client, did you get a sense of their why for wanting to pursue the private sector? And what was the motive behind that?
Yes. So currently they have a strong relationship with either governments or communities, education, things like that. And those are places where they already have regulations, like federal regulations, state regulations. However, in the private sector, those regulations are not necessarily as vast as like in the public sector. And so with the private organizations, they have more, I would say, more influence on consumers. So if you think of like Target or Walmart, those are within the private sector, but yet they can have a bigger effect on, like, say, one school in a state. So,
Thank you so much. Great presentation. So is the main barrier at this moment to more sustainable procurement lack of policy regulation? And did you guys look at like consumer engagement or like education like for communities as part of like a driver for sustainable procurement?
yeah, so great question. So policy right now, currently over the, I guess at least in the United States, policy federal-wise is a little harder to track because there are so many different state regulations that happen. So the policies with toxic chemicals happen more so at a regional area rather than a federal. And policy is a big barrier, I would say. However, we've noticed that consumers do want these toxins out of it. It's just mainly more in like the upstream choices, like with distributors, manufacturers. That's where it starts to get a little gray in the gray area. And so it's harder once you have so many decisions upstream, and then once you get them as a consumer, you're just trying to find something that's hopefully clean and toxic free. And so that's why we thought that CEH, our client, could partner with different certifying bodies, because a lot of people, like as consumers, as buyers, we look for different stamps of approval. So like a green seal improves why somebody would want to buy a product versus not having it.
Thank you, and great presentation. It's sort of a related question. How are you tackling cost in some of your toolkits if there's a lack of sort of regulating policy?
Yes.
I would imagine the next barrier is cost. How did that factor into the work?
Great question. So for our toolkits that we use for the financial toolkits, a lot of them did have to deal with costs. But so example for the built environment, you are able to see the costs, not just like, well, okay, sorry, let me see. So if you're buying a product, usually the cheaper products will either be bought more versus a more sustainable, higher costing product. But with our toolkit, it factors in different things like health-related things that aren't factored into that price of cheaper products, as well as replacement cycles. So if you have a cheaper product, it may not last as long as a sustainable product, and so we factor in different things like that.